Oh, let me unmute myself. Sounds like we might be live. The music just stopped. What's going on, everybody? How are you? Welcome to another session of Ignite. And we will get my screen share going here so I don't forget to do that this time. See where I can find that. Share screen. I think this is the right one. All right, let me see who I've got in the group here. First of all, make sure whoever's here, can you hear me? Either flash your mic, turn your computer on, give me a thumbs up, let me know you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Come on. Grabbing the wrong thing. Can't make my window bigger for you guys. Here we go. That's what I wanted. All right, looks like I got Tony, Sheila in the house. You turn on my chat box. Make sure you guys can chat with me. Let me know you can hear me, and we will get started. Yep, I got a yes, so you guys can hear me. And then are you also showing the screen? Are you sharing the screen? Oh, where does that go? Can you see the screen okay?
Yes.
All right, thank you, sir. That's another one. I got to turn my volume back up so I can hear you guys. All right, we're ready to rock and roll. Anybody here for the first time, or has this been your first time through Ignite, or have you been through Ignite before? Go ahead and share anything you want to share there if you don't have any background noise.
First time for me.
First time, all right. And have you been in any of our previous sessions yet, Tony?
No.
Okay, well, I'm glad you got it. What got you here today?
Well, I'm a new agent, so I'm just beginning the process of getting everything together. So, and this is probably one of the not the requirement, but the requirements for the coaching program as well. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, so just new like this week. Which office are you in?
I'm at Keller Williams in Rutherford, New Jersey.
All right. Very good. Well, cool. I'm glad you're here. Let me see if there's anybody else that has anything they want to add to that. First time, been through Ignite before. You can just unmute and participate. Which, by the way, the thing with this session, guys, keep that little unmute handy because this is for you guys to ask questions. It's a participation on your part. We're recording the call, and as you get some good information from this, you'll have access to go watch this again. However, you may not, well, Tony specifically knew, you may not have any of these experiences yet that we're talking about. And today we're talking about goals a little bit. Most people don't even have this conversation when they get into real estate. Like nobody ever talks to them about how to really build a business and hold yourself accountable to doing the right activities every day. Because what you may know and or you will figure out is we're self-employed. So it's not like anybody's going to call you tomorrow and say, hey, it's 10:30, where are you? And did you get up and do the right activities sometime during the day? And then did you go home early, not go home early? So there is the benefit of flexibility. Along with that flexibility comes the benefit and unlimited income opportunity. However, the benefit of not working very hard and having unlimited income don't live in the same world together. And you can work really, really hard and still you'll make a great income at real estate, but it might not be consistent, persistent, reliable. So you might work hard on some things and make some good money, but it won't necessarily show up automatically next time. So when you work smart and do the right things and have plans and systems and goals and everything that you're working on all the time and building a business, then you can build a business that keeps going every single day, whether you show up or not. So I don't know if anybody else is tuned in that wants to add, if this is your first Ignite or if you've been through other Ignites before, and or anything you would like to get out of today's session if you looked at the topic ahead of time.
I'm in the same position. I'm just starting, and so I didn't have a chance to take a look at it, but this is a great start for me to start learning. So I'm just very excited to, you know, focus on the things that I need to focus on.
All right. And which office are you in? Just in case anybody else is tuning in and they're watching this, they know where you are.
Sure, City Views in Fort Lee.
Okay, great. All right, guys. So here's the thing that's kind of cool about Ignite is well, not necessarily cool. From this part, there's 18 sessions. So there's 18 hours of content that you can absorb in while you're learning everything. I also realized that even whether you're an existing agent, oh, do we have a question? Whether you're a new agent, whether you're an existing agent, there's so much available to us at Keller Williams between command, marketing, action plans, all the stuff that's out there that it can become overwhelming. So one of the things that we do in Ignite in this session is we take the core models of a successful real estate business, and we bring that content to you through the manuals and the books. Hopefully, everybody has a link to where you can download the manuals and watch the recorded videos. If not, you can post that in the chat, and I believe Jason will probably throw that stuff up there if you guys don't know where that stuff is. But we use the same Google Drive for all the content, all the recorded past videos. So this is actually the 5th series of 9 in our Spark session. And then we have an element section that's another 9. So we do 1 hour every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And if I have to be honest with you, Ignite is the entire real estate business wrapped up in these little hour chunks that we're doing. We're just peeling off a piece of it and talking about it at a high level so that you guys can really relate it to real world real estate and what you're probably dealing with out there. And you don't have to watch them in order. You don't have to watch, if you miss one here or there, and if you're just starting for the first time and we're on number 5, I mean, there is some powerful content in the other 4 sessions. Very powerful content. So it definitely is worth grabbing a little bit extra time if you have it on the weekend or something, just to watch a couple of those. Because one of them that we talked about was your database. Like, where are you going to find your business at? And making a list of people, like if you're new to real estate, well, anybody existing even, go to Facebook and look at how many Facebook friends you have. Write down every Facebook friend in a notebook. And then next to that, you could write down if there's somebody local or if they're long distance, even though that's not as critical, but you want to go find their phone number and their address. And in real estate, we sell real estate. So one thing that if you can train your brain to get addresses because you sell real estate, that might not be a bad move, is what I'm saying. What you're going to find is a lot of people build databases of email addresses. If you're younger and you're getting into real estate, email address seems like the appropriate thing to do. Text messages are appropriate. However, in real estate, you want to be top of mind so that when they think of selling or buying, they think of you. And I got to share this number just because we have some new people in the group today, that what you will find out, and everybody needs to hear it again anyway, by the way, this isn't being said just for our new people. It's being said for all of you to hear this number over and over and over, that if the average person is moving every 5 years, that means for every 100 people that you meet divided by 5 years means that how many people are moving. You guys can type in this is a little bit of math for you. But if you have 100 people and they're moving every 5 years, you basically are dividing 100 by 5 and you get what? 20. And 20 should have you guys type it in too. If you divide 100 by 5 years, so that means 20 people are moving this year, 20 people are moving next year, 20 people are moving the following year. If it's a slower market, they might be staying in their house longer because they don't have equity, and that's not this market right now. So we are at least 5 years right now. They could stay in their house 10 years. And what that means is for every 100 people that you would meet in your community, 10 of them are moving this year. And there can be an even faster market where people are moving every 3 to 5 years. So if they're moving every 3 years, then it's more like 25, 26, 27 people are moving for every 100. So when you take that perspective and you get into real estate, and or you're in real estate and you want to bump your volume up and you want to do more sales than last year, you have to understand that out of 100 people that you could meet, 20 are moving this year. Now that's this year, not right now when you're talking to 100 people. If we could all make 100 calls and pick up 20 buyers and 20 sellers, we'd all be millionaires in real estate. What happens is those 20 people that are moving this year, a year is 12 months. So somebody who's moving 3 months from now, if they're one of those 20 people and they're moving in 3 months, or they're moving in 6 months, or they're moving in 12 months, they don't know they're one of the people that are moving this year yet. The only people that know they're the person that's one of the 20 people that's moving this year is the people right there. There's probably one or two out of those 20 people that are moving this month. And what you'll find, and if anybody's been in real estate before, you can validate this number all day long in everything you've ever tried to do to start your real estate business. If you get internet leads, if you do open houses, if you call for sale by owners, if you call expired listings, all these things that you're going to hear about, which is in, I think it's page it's not 138. It's in around page 138 in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. It shows all the sources from where business comes from. All those things you take a stab at, and as many people as you contact, you're going to get a 1 to 2% return. Meaning if I call 100 people, I might get 1 or 2 appointments. If I call another 100 people, I might get 1 or 2 appointments. And it's because there's always going to be 1 or 2% of that 20% that's moving each month, right? So at the end of the year, 20 people will move for every 100 people, but you got to stay in touch with the 100 people every single month for the next 5 years to capture 100 sales. So I kind of have a little saying, it's every agent 100, because if we just focused on 100 people and then stayed in touch with them for the next 5 years, you should get 100 sales. You also can take, I'm going to come back to what I precursored this entire course with. And if you haven't done this yet, I'm going to say it again. This is your project this weekend. Open up Facebook, go to your friends list. Scroll through your friends list until you get to the very bottom. And in fact, if anybody would share, if you guys are sitting in front of the computer and you're listening right now, go to Facebook, open up your friends tab, or right in your friends tab, it tells you how many friends you have. Type those numbers in for me. Type those numbers into the chat box while we're talking about this. So from your Facebook friends list, if you scroll all the way to the bottom and refresh your screen until you get to the bottom, you're going to find, you'll have everybody listed there. If you scroll back up to the top, now if you're sitting in front of the computer or on your phone, dump that number in there. I'd love to see what you guys have. Start at the top and write down the first name in a notebook. Write down the second name in the notebook. Write the third name in the notebook, fourth name in the notebook, fifth name in the notebook, because these are Facebook friends. And in today's world, that means we've all crossed paths somewhere, or we know somebody who knows them. We're close to being associated with them, right? So I see 431 from Tony. Thank you, Tony, for throwing that in there. Lets me know that you're here and you're getting this information and you're hearing it. So out of Tony's 431 on Facebook, here's what I can absolutely tell you for sure. If they're moving every 10 years, Tony has his first year in real estate. He's starting right now. He has 40 sales for sure, but really probably 80 sales at his fingertips. And Tony, if you connect with all 400 people over the next month or 2 or 3, and I'll give you an easy formula, and then you stay in touch with them all every so often, every couple of months for the next 5 years, you will have 80 sales a year coming from that 400 people if you connect with them. And so by taking the Facebook names off of your friends list and putting them in a notebook, it allows you to have an organized capture page that you can open it up and say, do I have their phone number and their address? And this is the mind shift. Now, you're not having to shift your mind too much for Tony's sake, but if you've been in real estate before and you've been in real estate for a while and you're watching this, our industry is trained to help teach us to go get the next deal, get the next deal, get the next deal. So we're calling for sale by owners, we're calling expired. You're supposed to go do open houses because you meet buyers. We're trying to find the next person buying and selling. When in actuality, everybody that we bump into is buying and selling, just not right now. And the odds of getting a total stranger to do business with you in that clump of those open houses and those expireds and those for sale by owners and convincing them to use a total stranger, it's hard work, and it's about a 1 to 2% conversion rate. So when you focus on your personal list, and if I get a phone number and an address in there, then I can literally every single day, once I get some of these in here and I get about 20, 30, 40 people in my notebook with addresses and phone numbers, I can start. Now, what Tony would do is he'd have his 431 names in Facebook in his notebook. He's going to get about 20, 30, 40 people, get the phone number and their address. It may be right, it may not be right. You're going to go on, use the internet to find them on Google or fastpeoplesearch.com. I'll put that in again. I think our notes show up on the recording, but fastpeoplesearch.com. What you can do with this is, and I'm going to put my email in here too, so you guys can email me or call me if you have any questions or need some clarity around this. I'm going to give you my cell phone too. This is, by the way, how I built my real estate business over the last 30 years to sell 100 homes a year for over 20 years straight. And it was literally from my database, no cold calling. Now, I've done cold calling, I've done door knocking, I've done open houses. For the last 25 years, I do not have to do any of that stuff to make sure we sell 70 to 80 to 100 homes a year. So that comes directly from the database. Anything we do, like as far as open houses, door knocking, calling for sale by owners, expireds, is just adding to our business. We've got a pretty consistent flow coming out of the database by staying in touch with them. So in Tony's example, and one other thing you can look at is your contact records in your cell phone. So if you go to your cell phone and you go to contacts and click on contacts for all the people that are in your phone, right? I gotta get my camera to adjust here. Oh, I got a name in there, that's why. Get into your contacts, scroll to the very bottom, especially on an iPhone. You can scroll to the very bottom and it'll tell you how many people you have in your cell phone. That's another number you can type in here if you're doing this exercise. And I'll show you how much business you have in front of you. Let's see, Tony may have gotten his in there, 894. Great. So what Tony would do is he'd take his 431 Facebook friends, write those in the notebook. Then he'd take the 894 people that are in the phone and write their name in the notebook. And Sheila's got 778, all right. And then what you're going to do is go back through your phone and just start going through and pull their phone number out. And if you look in some of your contact records, they actually have an address attached to it. If they don't have that, you can use fastpeoplesearch.com and just put in their phone number for a reverse search and see what address pops up. The idea is to get a phone number and an address in your notebook so you can pick up the phone and call them. And when you're calling them, you can simply just call to connect. Just say, hey, I haven't talked to you in a while. I mean, I know we're Facebook friends, or, you know, I know they're in your phone. We've crossed paths in the past and talked, and I just haven't talked to you in a while. And I just wanted to follow up and see how things are going. And if you have your address, then somewhere in that conversation, you can say, hey, by the way, are you still on Brighton Street? And then, oh, no, we moved from there. Well, where'd you move to? You know, and I can get the address updated. Or they say, yeah, we're still there. Whatever it is, I verified their address so that I could just drop a note in the mail to them. And I've got, I'm going to step away from screen for a second. When you look here, I just had another batch show up because I go through note cards like crazy. We just have blank inside note cards. And these actually have door knockers on them, but they're blank inside. And comes with the envelopes. This is all from Note Card Cafe. And this is the door design. We get all those cards with this. 75 note cards with 75 envelopes for $16.99. The reason why I say that is because when you're starting out in real estate, there is a lot of people that will try and get you to buy a lot of stuff and you can go broke before you even make any money. But if you did this list and you sent everybody a note that you get on the phone and you just say, it was great catching up with you, not even talk about real estate yet. I know you're all excited. If you're new, you're excited about real estate and you're excited about getting your first deal. What I want you to connect the dots on is that only 1 or 2 out of the next 100 people you tell that to are moving right now. What I also want you to realize is 98 of those people aren't moving right now, will tell you that they're not moving right now, and then you're about to just either forget about them completely or you're going to hammer them with a whole bunch of real estate stuff and they just told you they aren't moving right now. So just drop a note in the mail and say, it was so great connecting. Look forward to keeping in touch. And then you'll find out in command and some of the other things, not necessarily this class. This is not a command class. So we don't go deep into command here. What I do is I hope I give you the direction of what you're looking for in command to make your follow-ups a consistent, persistent process, right? Because there's lead generating. And in this particular case, we're calling lead generating that list in that notebook, because in that notebook, you're going to have a phone number and an address for a clump of people. And you're going to be able to call those numbers until you get 5 people to answer the phone. And in Tony's case, I'm going to use those numbers that he threw up there because he gave us his Facebook and his phone. He's got 431 and 894. If my math is correct, that's around 1,120 some people, right? So around 1,120 some people is a lot of people. It's like, how am I going to call 1,000 people? 5 a day, 5 days a week is 25 a week. 25 people a week, 100 people a month. And it would take Tony in this particular case, if he did the one activity that's the most important thing he could do every day, just get 5 of those people on the phone every day, enough that you could write a note and drop it in the mail. And then we're going to put them in command and put them on a follow-up system. Because what's going to happen is Tony's going to talk to 25 people a week, 100 people a month. He's going to talk to 1,200 people over the next 12 months. Between now and April of next year, if he did 5 a day every day, he will have 1,200 people that he's connected with and written a note to. And if they're in command and if they're on a smart plan that reminds him to call again a few more times every year until they become a buyer or a seller, then that's going to build his business up to where if he has 1,200 people in the next 12 months, then we know somewhere around 120 to 240 people will be moving for sure. And if you've done this for the year and then you stay in touch with them for the next 4 more years, you'll capture 200 sales a year. And quite honestly, you'll probably comfortably be able to slam dunk 50, 75 to 100 of those. And so that's where, again, where my mission comes in at 100 sales a year. So let me see here. Sheila said, would you leave a voicemail message for them? It's a great question. It always comes up. And yeah, I probably will. And I would say, hey, it's Sheila. And my normal conversation here is I'm going to give you permission to not worry about real estate scripts for this very first call. Everything else after your note card will be branded around real estate. Now, it may not necessarily be a real estate message you're sending out, but you're going to hit them with letters, text, emails, more phone calls. You're going to mix up the mediums in the way you stay in touch with people, and the smart plans allow you to mix all that stuff up. But it's like creating a smart plan for 8 touches in the next 8 weeks. One might be a letter, one might be an email, one might be whatever. So when I make this first call, I take my names off of Facebook, I put them in my notebook. I do a little research time and I find phone numbers and addresses and write those in your notebook. Because then tomorrow you can come in and open your notebook up and your lead generation time right now is just calling until 5 people answer, 5 people connect with you, and you write 5 notes. And then you put those 5 people in command. Now, if I get their voicemail, I would probably say, hey, it's Sheila. Missed you on the phone. I know my call's coming out of the blue because you probably haven't talked to these people in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, who knows what, right? So these are all people that you may have never even talked to them. It's just, I just was thinking of you and was going to catch up and see how things are going. I hadn't picked up the phone and called you in a while. So I might leave that message. I'm not going to take them out of my notebook yet. But if I have that conversation, Sheila, and they answer the phone, and I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't talked to you in forever. And with everything going on, I just realized I probably haven't talked to you and heard your voice in a while. How you doing? How's the family? The script is Ford, F-O-R-D. And the reason I'm telling you all this stuff, because it's going to really play into the goal setting stuff that we talked today. And it's going to make you think about your goals a little bit different, because that's our topic today, right? F-O-R-D is family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. Occupation, oh man, I can't type fast. Recreation and dreams or goals or need is kind of what I call it. With dreams and goals, a better way, if you even get this part in the conversation, is anything that they need. Are they doing something around the house? Is there a connection you can make for them for anything? What's the biggest thing you're working on right now? If it's painting the house or doing some handyman work or fixing some concrete, you can start to get connected on the real estate stuff on that side. That's not even as critical, and this is just connecting. How's the family? How's work going? You guys been doing okay? What have you been doing for fun? And this is let them do most of the talking. If you can get off the phone without talking a whole lot, you have won in my book. This is just Brad Korn's book, because then you can write the note about them and put no business card in it. Believe me, I'm all about branding and marketing real estate. We only get paid selling real estate. However, only 1 to 2% of the people that we're going to talk to doing this method are moving right now, or even know they're moving. So knowing that 98% of the people aren't moving, you don't have to talk about real estate on this very first call. If I'm calling for sale by owners and expireds, it's a different story. But I'm talking about connecting with people on just a community level. And write them the note. Now, my next letter that goes out will say, hey, by the way, here's my real estate page, and here's where it talks about what I'm doing in real estate. Here's my real estate website, an email that goes out 2 weeks later. It says, hey, if you're ever curious about, what house prices are, or you see a house for sale, just type in the address at this website and it'll tell you what it's for sale for. And then it's got your contact information and all that. So I'm going to layer real estate in later, but I got to connect with them first. So those 1,200 people a year can turn into 200 sales as long as you keep in touch with them for the next 5 years or so. So hopefully that answers your question. You can definitely leave the message. However, back to the notebook, the only time I will cross them out of the notebook is if they pick up the phone, we connect, and I verify the address so I can write them a note. Then I'm going to put them in command, and I'm going to start them on an 8x8 drip plan, a smart plan. Write this down. It's pages, and I haven't said this in a while, pages 133 through 148 in the MREA book, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. This is your Bible to build a $1 million millionaire real estate agent. I'm typing and talking here. The book that you can get from the office, pages 133 through 148. Everybody hearing this message should read those pages a dozen times. Because in there, you'll see that when I connect with them and I move them into command, I put them on a smart plan on the 8x8. And at the end of the 8 touches in 8 weeks, they go on a 36 touch. And we've talked about this in some of the Ignites. You'll see it on the recordings. That's when I cross them out of the notebook, because now I've captured them into my system and I've got an automated follow-up system running. And hopefully you have some more phone calls built in there throughout the year, right? So in the notebook is always the people I haven't connected with yet, or in Sheila's case, I left a message for, so they don't get to leave the notebook yet. If I make 2 or 3 attempts, you might put a little tally next to their name that you've called, you keep getting voicemail. Then in that case, maybe after the 3rd time I've left a voicemail, I might move them in, guess that my address is correct, drop them a note, say, I've been trying to reach you. I don't know if the phone number I have is correct for you. I had blah, 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 right? And just drop it in the mail and see if it gets returned or not. chances are their phone's dead and their address mail comes back to you, that just means it's a lost person. You got to do a little more research, see if you can either track them down to reconnect with them, or maybe you're not going to. You've lost touch with them for too long. So let's see here, I got some pop-ups happening here that I want to get rid of. They're distracting. Let me pause there for a second, see if you have any questions before we jump into the goal stuff, because we are going to be talking about setting goals, and those goals might be, can you get to 5 a day and pull them out of your notebook? Any questions so far? Or give me a thumbs up or something saying you're getting something good out of today, and or what you have gotten out of today so far. Have I gotten you excited about your Facebook friends list and your cell phone list, and or finding the next piece of business? Yeah. So let's jump on in here. Good info on reaching contacts. Yes, very helpful. Guys, keep it simple, okay? The next thing that anybody who's just getting into real estate, and the people that you're watching that are experienced in real estate, they're making everything way too hard. Way too hard. This is pick up the phone, call somebody who already knows you, write them a note. If you do that, you will double your business. If you're in business now and you did that in your database from A to Z, or your notebook list from A to Z, you will double or triple your business. So if you're just starting out, I'm telling you, that's the advice that I can guarantee you will double or triple their business. So you can just start right now at a pretty high number. All right. So yeah, and if you have questions, you can type it in the box as well. So here's the thing. Here's how Ignite runs. We have a Spark section, which is building your business. And then the element section is on how to run the business. So we got the grow the business and the how to actually do it business. So you guys are still in the grow part, the core base things that you need to do in a business to build a business that will grow. So we're still going through that stuff. And then part of that is goals. Today, we're going to be focusing on setting goals for lead generating for buyers and sellers. However, you also know that the layer I'm adding in here is that only 1 to 2% of those people that you're talking to right now would be buyers and sellers. And rather than having you focus on a low return activity, we're just going to say, keep everybody, get everybody in your database, get everybody called, get everybody a note, because they're all going to be a buyer in the next 2 months, 6 months, 1 year, up to 5 years from now. And some of them even 7 and 8 and 10 years. If you are the only person that stays in touch with them for the next 5 years, you will be so top of mind that they are going to call you when they become that 20% or those 20 people per 100 that are moving at that time. So, and then on running your business, to really run a business and to hold your business accountable and to be profitable in business, you do need to set goals. And you have to get better at what you're doing by attending training, which is what you guys are doing today. So on here, who we are and where we want to go determine what we do and what we need to accomplish. Depending on, if you're new to real estate, depending on how much money you want to make in real estate is absolutely 100% predictable from the list I'm talking about, on exactly what you would have to do, how many notes you would have to write a day to make X amount of dollars. So if you have a certain amount of money that you need to make this work, I can tell you exactly what the number is, as long as you go buy a dang notebook from Walmart and you put all your Facebook friends in that notebook and you put all your contacts from your phone in that notebook. If you do it any other way, it's going to get confusing. You won't be able to keep it organized and you're going to get confused, which means you just made it harder than it needed to be. But I can tell Tony for absolute certainty, if he does 5 people a day, 5 people tomorrow, 5 people the next day, and he does this 5 days a week, he does it for 12 months, he will have the opportunity with 100 people at least calling him to buy and sell real estate 12 months from now. He's probably going to have 60 people 6 months from now. He's going to probably have about 10 or 20 people a couple months from now. And they're going to be little warmer leads. And as you stay in touch with them for the whole 5 years, you will start a constant flow of phone calls that'll bring the next challenge is you may not be able to keep up with them because you're getting it ramped up so fast that you can't even keep up with it. But I'm telling you, if you get the next 3, 4, or 5 deals in place in the next month by doing 100 people this month, well, for April, and 100 people in May, you'll have 200 people that you've connected with and wrote notes to that you should find about 2 or 3 deals in the next 2 months that are warm deals. So it's still not consistent enough to be getting it all figured out. But by the time you do 3 deals, you're going to feel a lot more comfortable doing deal 4 through 10. And if you continue to do 5 more people out of your notebook in March, April, May, or April, May, June, if you do that in June, and then you do it again in July, you'll now have 400 people in there, right? Which means that 40 to 80 people are moving, divided by 12, which means that 6, 7, 8 people are moving every month. So as you do this, but you can't skip a day. As you do it consistently, persistently every day, and you have feeding out of that notebook because you keep addresses and phone numbers in there ahead of your 5 a day. So you got to sit down for an hour and just find as many of those people as you can. That research time is going to make you a ton of money. And what you do there, that'll tell you exactly what you need to do to accomplish what you want to accomplish. All right, let's see. We might have a question here. Can we enter the contacts in command once we connect? Absolutely. In fact, when I say keep it simple, when I say simple, I mean it's about to get really confusing. This process I just shared with you can get super, super confusing. So if you put them in the notebook and if you connect with them and you can write them a note, I take a black permanent marker and black them out of the notebook. Your objective is to get everybody out of the notebook into command. But if I told Tony, for example, to take those 1,200 people and just import them into command, he's going to start going through 5 today, and he's going to make a call, and he's going to write a note. And if he uses smart plans correctly and does it, then and goes to the task list every single day, that might work. But now he's going to go to the next 5 in the database and he's going to make those calls. And he's actually calling probably 20 people to get 5 people to answer. So if I put everybody into command, if I imported my whole list into command and I start at A and I go until 5 people answer and I write them a note, tomorrow when I come in to do 5, where do you start? Do you start back at A or do you start where you left off? I'm not see as soon as you do that, you're making this way harder than it needs to be. And if you start at A's and skip the people that you've written the note to, then you got to pay attention, like who did I write the note to, who actually answered the phone, and I'm going to take you 1 week down the road. You're calling through your database and you're going from the A, or you're starting where you left off and you're calling 5 more, you get 5 more people on. Well, who are you supposed to call next week from the first week? And where, again, by the time you get in here, it's too confusing. So if you have everybody in a notebook and you move them into command as you connect with them, then you know every day what business you're missing out on, but you also know every day that these people, you can keep track of what's in command because everybody's got another call schedule coming up. If you're using smart plans or if you scheduled a manual call. So the part that'll drive you crazy is you got all these names sitting here. You got to be missing out on so much business. No, 1% of that list is moving. You will miss some business until you get in touch with them. But your only other option to avoid that is to call all 1,000 of them today. That ain't going to happen. If you got a class that you'll hear about called Bold, and Bold will challenge you to connect with 20 people a day. I'm talking about 5. It will challenge you to talk to 20 people a day for 7 weeks. And if you did that, you will close 14 deals during that 7 weeks of Bold because you're doing an intense amount of phone calls. And they teach you the mindset and the scripts and all that stuff. But in Bold, it's 14 deals from, if you did 20 people a day, that's 700 people that you will talk to while you're in Bold. If you do any less than that, you won't get 14 deals because you have to call 100 to get 1. You have to call out of 1,000, you might get 10. And they have a thing in there called Bold 100. It's contacting 100 people in one day. having two-way conversations with 100 people. It's just a big push, like, goal to accomplish. And it's not fun, but it's fun when you get it done. It's 5.5 hours of sitting in front of a phone, picking up the handset, you dial the number, pick up the handset, dial the number, they answer or don't answer, hang it up, pick it up, dial again, answer or don't answer. And if you did that just for 5.5 hours straight, you'll pick up 2 or 3 appointments after you talk to 100 people. So when we come back to these goals, what and where we are determine what we have to do and what we have to accomplish. So in this example right here, if you're looking at the screen, it's showing like your actions that if you just come in and naturally go to work and maybe even look back at what you've done so far, right? And I'm going to talk about that in a second too, but you come in and you naturally go to work. When I say do 5 a day, every day, 5 days a week for the next 12 months, that's setting a higher action. And it's setting a goal that I'm setting this higher than what I thought I should be doing, but I'm going to get bigger results. And it will pull you through all your smaller goals faster if you set your goal higher. So 5 a day is manageable. In fact, I'm telling you how to have the number and the address to call so you can at least make sure you talk to 5 people a day. You got to have 20, 30 to 100 of those people filled out in your notebook with phone numbers and addresses. Always keep that going. Every day, open that up for an hour until you get everybody's address and phone number that you can find. Then every day, you're just pulling 5 people off of there, right? So when you set that bigger goal to do 5 a day every single day, it's going to pull you through your goals a lot faster. So I said in 6 months, you might have 6 months, you'd have 600 people in there, which means 120 people are moving. You'd probably capture about 30 or 40 of those pretty easily. So for you to have 30 sales in your first 6 months, you got to set some big goals. But if you kind of leave it down where it's just what you do naturally, you're not thinking and acting and doing the activities that a millionaire agent does. And the 5 a day is very simple for you to do. So when you set big goals and you set bigger goals, what's going to happen, and this is where I need to pause for a minute, because I just said 30 transactions. If I gave you all 30 transactions right now, what would your world look like? In fact, go ahead and type it in the box or open up your screen on your camera and show me what it would look like if I gave you 30 deals. I know it'd be exciting, but your world would be turned upside down. It would turn into total chaos because you wouldn't even know what to do with the first or the second one, maybe, if you're new. And even if I gave 30 deals to an existing agent that's been in business for a while, maybe sells 100 homes a year, that's 1/3 of their business at once. If I handed that to them, it would be total chaos in most cases. So as you build and you grow through these smaller goals faster, you can get the right people and the right systems and use command properly to be able to handle 30 by the time you get to 30. Because see, you have to get to 5 first, and then you have to get to 10, and then you have to get to 20 before you get to 30. And you'll be able to use the technology to get there faster rather than just getting it all at once. So that's why we say 5 a day. Setting your big life. Now, I'm going to tell you guys right now, if you're new and or you haven't done this in the past, Gary Keller's goal is for us to build a life worth living. I mean, this is our mission statement for the company: a life worth living, a business worth owning, and a legacy worth leaving, right? That's 3 of the 4. But that life worth living, he's showing us how to build a real estate business so we can build a big life. Build a big life. So for example, I've now been at Keller Williams for 20 years. I've been in real estate for 30-something years. I am at a lake with my dock across the street. We live a absolutely incredible life at Lake Life. We have great friends. Our community is amazing. It is my dream. It's my dream life because I'm with my dream wife, and she's lives in the lake life. So by me giving her the lake life back, I'm having the best life I can have because she's loving the lake and I love the lake. to go down on our dock whenever we want, to have every night watching sunset go down from our dock, having the restaurant right across the street to just go eat and have dinner with our friends. It's amazing. So real estate has provided that, though. There's nothing else. I don't know if there's anything else that would have got me here on a salary, real job somewhere else. It was creating a business that sold 100 homes a year, every year for over 20 years, that got me to the point that I could live that life. So I want you guys to take, like in this example, if you're looking at the screen, if draw a circle in the middle of your page, if you're taking notes, what's the dollar amount that would make an amazing life for you? And I know most people put $100,000 or they put $1 million or whatever, but what would you really truly need to have an amazing life? And if you put $100,000 in there, draw some circles or squares around the outside of that circle and write in there what it is you would like to accomplish and how much that would cost to do. So in this example, it's like get my school debt paid off of 120,000. So there's part of it. So you got to have more than 100,000 in there for that, right? But donate money to the Habitat, pay off your mortgage, whatever it might be, pay off a car. And that can help you. Those things can help you check your number to make sure it's in check. And again, you might say, pay off my school debt in 5 years. Great. So 120,000 divided by 5 is going to be a different number. And then what do you need to make this year to live a great life? So you also want to figure out, what are your monthly bills? If you go out and eat, what are the groceries? What would it take to, you didn't have to worry about money? Now, understand that you are self-employed, and whatever your actions are from where you are right now to get you where you want to go, it's not going to be some easy track. If it were easy, we'd all be millionaires. I'm not even a millionaire. I do not know what $1 million in 1 year looks like. I'm not there yet. So that's hard work. And it's not really hard work from a bad perspective. It's just not easy. It's very simple to get there. It's all, if you did 5 a day every day and you follow the MREA models and you put them on an 8x8 and you do the right activities and you just follow the models in the MREA book, Gary will show you how to make $1 million in real estate. Now, see, I trade that time off for some other things that I do, like being here to help you and coaching and all that stuff. So that does take away from me getting to $1 million. But I've created my lifestyle that I want to create some other revenue sources to do that, to leverage that out. If I just stayed in real estate and I did that 8 hours a day and I made my calls 8 hours a day, I'm past $1 million. So that's what's cool about it, is you get to design your life for what you want and what you like to do. So understanding your goal, this is really great, especially for the new people. Sometimes if you've been selling real estate for a while, you can forget this. And let me make sure you guys don't have any questions or anything. If you have any questions or you just joined the group, you can type those in the chat box or unmute yourself anytime and just jump in. But look at where the dollar goes. So right now you've got the cool excitement of how much money you can make selling a house, $5,000, $10,000, whatever that commission check is. But when you look at where the dollar goes, 50% of the commission from a sale of a property goes to the other agent that's involved, right? And then at Keller Williams, they take a slice off of that stays in the market center. That is what gives you that office that you're in, the conference rooms, the front desk girl. I mean, for what our cap dollar is, you can't go open an office for that amount of money. And you're paying it as you go. Then on top of that, so after this dollar is almost disappeared, there's still another slice that you have your own business expenses that you have between cell phones and signs and some of the other stuff. So when you look at what you get left at the end of the day, your take home of a $1 bill is pretty low. What we know from the MREA book is that you're going to spend about 60% on expenses and business and cap dollars and all that other stuff. And you're going to take home about 40% if you do it right. So more importantly, keep reading the MREA book. Read pages 133 through 148 at least a dozen times. 133 through 148 at least a dozen times, because that's the 5 people a day. That's feeding and putting them on the 8x8 and using command that will drive those 100 sales to you. but then you also have to manage your expenses and do all that other stuff to get to a 40% profit. And it is possible. That's when you continue reading the book and make sure you're setting your business up that way. So I am quickly going to run through what the breakdown of a commission looks like by the time the company that you pay your splits and all the other stuff. If we had an average sale price of $300,000 and that's a 3% commission, you're going to be at $9,000 on the commission. That's going to be, let me see, I usually goof this thing up. If your cap dollar is 27,000 and your franchise is 3,000, you're talking about $30,000 cost to make the money. Now you're probably making $300,000 before you pay the $30,000. It's not quite that, but you're going to make the money first, and then they just pay. They let you pay as you go. So if we took that whole thing, if your net income goal was $100,000, and if you guys want to type yours in there, that's great. If you want to share, I see a lot of people in your market are probably around 250, but whatever it is for you to have your lifestyle that you want, and going through the goal setting thing to actually expand that and go, what do I really want my life to look like? Because you can be very comfortable putting those numbers in and sharing them with your productivity coach or the team leader or anybody in leadership. You could share it with me and say, I really would love to make $350,000. That would be awesome. You have unlimited income potential. However, you just have to do the right activities to make sure you get there. So if you set your goal at 100,000, so if you're at 200,000, you'll double these numbers. If you're at $1 million, you 10 times these numbers. But if you're at $100,000 and your company dollar out of that would be 30 grand, right? And you take out your business expenses that we're estimating that you would spend if you followed the millionaire real estate agent models. They'll tell you how much to spend on marketing, how much to spend on this, how much to spend on that. And if you keep your numbers in line with that, if you wanted to make 100,000, you'll have 50,000 in expenses. You're going to have, that's a total of 180,000 you would have to generate to be able to net 100. And your average commission check is $9,000. You're going to need to sell 20 homes a year to make $100,000. So if you want $200,000, you're going to be at 40 sales in your particular market, because I think all these numbers are kind of align with your cap dollars and all that stuff at KW. So you're going to have 40 sales. 40 sales is about 3 a month, right? So we already said if you have 300 people in your database, 30 of them to 60 of them are moving, divided by 12 months, you're somewhere around 2 or 3. So you want to get around 300 people out of your notebook into command with a handwritten note on an 8x8, and you want to get there as soon as possible. Now you can't stop at 300, unfortunately, because you're still in the ramp up. If you stayed in touch with that 300 for the next year to 2 years to 3 years, then you'll start seeing your 30 to 60 sales. But if you stop anywhere along the way, you lose all that traction. It just goes away. So setting your goals in command. Again, this is not a command class. We have 1 hour to get all this content in so I can keep you engaged and hear the information. There are command classes in your market center that you can go in and figure out more on command. But when you first of all, if you haven't been in command, find your login and find your password, write it down on a piece of paper and tape it up on the wall. Go in command every single day. And on the front panel, you're going to see some places where you could put in your goals. So if I've inspired you enough to stick to the 5 a day, you can put those goals in here that you need to add 5 people to command every single day and write 5 notes a day. And if you don't know how to do that, you can call me, text me. I've got my information in the chat box, and or talk to your productivity coach or any of your leadership at all. So doing the right activities. Here's the big part. And you're going to hear, if you're new, we've got several new people. If you're new, you're going to hear this so many times, you might not even hear it. And I want you to hear it. that 20% of what you do every single day is going to be responsible for 80% of your income. And what I hope that you will do is, if you rewatch this video and I come to this slide and I say 20% of what you do will generate 80% of your income, and you're watching this right now for a second time, and you're saying to yourself, I'm still not making enough money. Well, 20% of what you did generated 80% of the money that you do have. So if you want to have more money, for example, and if money will free up your time, you still might need more money, then you have to do those 20% activities 40% of your day. And it always, always, always comes back to lead generation, or in my case, I would say lead cultivation, because you already have 500, 800, 1,000 people that already know who you are. You just need to reconnect with them first. How are you doing? How's the family? Write them a note. And then you can start working on real estate. But here's the thing, when you do this, they'll call you with real estate when they're the one of the people that are moving, because everything you send them has your brand on it and your logo. It doesn't even have to talk about real estate. 98% of them aren't moving right now. And 20% of them will probably move over the next 2 year or so. 40% will move over the next 2 to 3 years, and 70% of them will move over the next 3 to 5 years. So that you're going to capture. So you do want your name and your logo in there, but it doesn't have to be about real estate, because 70% of them aren't even moving until 3 years from now. Well, 70% total over 3 to 5 years will move. There's 1 to 2% moving at any given month, or 20% a year, or 40% in 2 years, 60% in 3 years. You see how that goes? So you have to stay in touch with all of them to capture all those. And you don't know who's going to be what part of that 20%. So you just send your name and logo out there, and you send occasional real estate stuff. All right. I don't think you guys are, hopefully you're there. Give me a little read, like on a scale of 1 to 10. Is this information hitting you at a 10, like just getting you super excited? Or is it just a 5 and it's another class you're coming to? Or is it a 1 and it's like, this is boring, blah, blah, blah. Let me know how I'm doing with you guys, because I want you to be excited about this list, because it's what will make everything else you go to so exciting. Everything you hear about real estate you'll see how it works when you've got this list of people going. So good. I'm seeing some good feedback there. Thank you for sharing. So if you want to double your income, just do your 20% activities, 40% of your day. And guys, it comes down to those people out of that notebook are the most critical thing you can do. Now that you might spend an hour a day on that, you're going to spend the rest of the day talking to for sale by owners, doing open houses, but the return on that is really, really low. But just do this first so we can capture that bigger pie. And that turns into automation to where they will call you when they're ready. But then you can go focus the rest of the day on finding the next deal. But do this first, because nobody's built a big business on the other side without it taking years and years and years and a lot of money invested. The big teams you have that are bringing in hundreds of leads a month or a year have worked their way up there, and they've spent a lot of money, and they're not converting them all. They're actually converting 1, 2, 3%. At the best, I've heard 5%. Well, what I've shared with you today is how to convert 100% at 5 a day. Everybody that already knows you, get connected with them, because they're the bigger pie. Pages 133 through 148, we'll talk about the 8x8, and it will tell you for every 12 people that you connect with and write that note with and then stay in touch with, you're going to get 2 pieces of business. For everybody out here where you're just knocking on doors and going to an open house and wait for them to come through, it's 50 people to 1 piece of business. So you can take these people in this outer ring and get connected with them and stay in touch with them and write a note and do all that and move them over to an 8x8, and you can get 12 to 2. That's 6 to 8 times more business from the same group of people. But most people just throw people on an automated email follow-up or a blast mailing or a blast text message. Get one-on-one, and it's 12 For every 12 people, you're going to get 2 pieces of business. That's the 20% that we're talking about. So what is the one thing you could do right now that if you did it, it would make everything else easier? Well, what makes everything else easier is bringing in enough money to hire and have to do the things you really want to do to grow your business. So the way you do that is you get in touch with people who are buying and selling, and you close more deals. So you can either spend, we've talked about in marketing, it costs a lot of money to market to people. But if you're prospecting, it's not as money intensive, but it's more time consuming, because it's going to take you time to call through your list and get 5 people on the phone. The difference is marketing gets you 1 piece of business for every 50 people, and you got to spend a lot of money. Or if you have time right now and you focus on this list and you really truly get 5 people a day, that doesn't cost you any money. It just costs you time. And right now you have the most time you'll ever have in real estate, because as that phone starts to ring and these people start coming in and you start seeing that 3 deals a month, 5 deals a month showing up, you're not going to have as much time anymore, because now you got to set up systems to be able to manage the sales and all that stuff. So you have the time right now to connect with every single one of them. The next 12 months, 5 people a day, you can do it. So that's the one thing that is really, truly going to make everything else easier. So that's how you're going to lead generate for buyers and sellers. Guys, there is a tool called the 411, and you can ask your productivity coach in your office or whoever you're mentoring with or who's helping you with your business right there. Ask them for the 411. It's actually on the website. You can go to the One Thing website. It's everywhere in KW. You could just type in 411 action goals worksheet, Keller Williams, in Google, and you're going to find it. But the way this worksheet works, we're right at the top of the hour. So the way this worksheet works is if I want $100,000 for the year, then I'm just going to say for simplicity's sake, $120,000 for the year. Then I'm going to need $10,000 a month. $10,000 a month divided by 4 is going to be about $2,500 a week. So on the 411, I'm just going to take there's my $100,000 goal. We got April coming up, so I would write April up here for $10,000 in April, which means the first week of April, I need $2,500. $2,500 is half a sale, right? Or net $2,500 is 1 sale. You'll probably net $2,500 after you make $5,000 to $7,000 or $8,000, right? So I need 1 contract this week, and that's all I'm looking at on my 411. Now, once the first week of April runs by, my second week of April, I'm going to grab a new sheet, put 100 and put 10, right? Minus 2,500, because I got that the first week. I did whatever it took to get somebody to write a contract. Whatever it took. If I have to call 5 people a day until I get the contract, I do that. If I'm calling 5 people a day that week and I don't get it, I need to call 10 people a day the second week, because now I need to get 5,000 the second week because I didn't get my 2,500 the first week. So now I need to make 10 calls a day until I get 1 sale or 2 sales to get my 5,000 to go towards my 10, because I'm halfway through the month. That's how a 411 works. So just don't lose. That helps you stay real focused on, if you did 5 a day, 25 people a week on your 411, then at the end of the week, you write on there how many people you added to your database. How many people did you take out of your notebook and put in there? And if you didn't get 5 a day, if you didn't get 25 on the last week, then you got to take whatever you didn't get. So let's just say you were 5 short. So the second week, you need to get 30 in there. And do not do any less than that, no matter what. So now you got to bump it up a notch and get more than 5 a day. You got to do 6 a day this week to get back on track. And then the third week, I'll come back around. I'm back to 25 again, 5 a day, 5 days a week. And if you do that all the way through on your 411, no matter what, guys, you're going to get 20% of your database to do business with you. All right. I think there was a question that popped in there. I think we're right towards the end. Accountable people achieve results others can only dream of. So here's our ahas. This is where I want you guys to really help me out. This is the only way I can come back and teach you guys more stuff, is if you click on this link I'm going to put it in the chat box. If you have to go, click on this real quick so it opens up a separate window or tab in your Windows box. Click on that real quick, open up the little tab and leave your computer open so you can come back and fill that survey out. The only way they keep bringing me this stuff and where I can help you and break this down to the manageable and be available to answer your questions that you're going to have is you're filling out that survey, telling them what you thought of today's class. If they see how much you guys love what I covered today, and they see that you're excited about it, they're going to keep bringing me back to help you guys get this going. And I'm on a mission to help you sell 100 properties, 100 homes a year, in fact. So I got to get you to 25 though first. I got to get you to 10, then I got to get you 25, then I got to get you to 50, and it's going to come through 5 a day. All right, I'm going to open it up. You can unmute yourself if you want to ask me any questions for clarity on anything, comments, suggestions, anything there. Otherwise, we will have this recorded so you can watch it again as well. I am in the Kansas City market, Kansas City on the Missouri side, home of the Chiefs. So that's where you would find me. So I'm virtual, but you guys have my cell phone number. Actually, I'm going to type that again because I think we might have had a couple of new people jump in. My cell phone number is 816-215-3214. And if you're like anybody who's been through Ignite in the past and you actually call me and I answer my phone, yep, it's for real. I'm available just like anybody else is. And I'm still selling 70, 80 homes a year with 1-2 people on my team right now. Actually, I just added a buyer's agent, but I've had a part-time assistant for the last 2.5 years. And we've been selling about 70 homes a year based on the systems that I have in place. And it all stems around that 5 a day. I've built everything on 5 a day. So I'm available for you guys for any questions that you have. All right, that's it. We're a little over time. So I am going to tune out. If you guys don't have anything to add, make sure you click on that survey link and fill that in for me, the Survey Monkey. Let your leadership know what you thought of today's class. That would be great. Well, it's important to keep me coming back so I can keep helping you guys. Because this is definitely something you can take again and again and again and again. And you'll see why, because all these things will show up over the next year or two, but they won't all show up at once. And as you do this stuff, as soon as you start making your notebook list, you're going to have a question for me next week or a call from now or 2 calls from now. So that survey keeps me coming back. All right. Thanks, guys.